students, welcome to today's class. I am Raju from Fortune Butterfly Senior Secondary School. Today we are going to start our 10th class, the first chapter, A Letter to God from the First Flight. Dear students, as we know, the title itself, A Letter to God. What do you understand by a letter to God? Generally, we human beings write a letter to the other human being. But in the chapter, a title is given, A Letter to God by G.L. Fluence. Now, why he mentioned a letter to God? Is the God a human being that he responds to us? We don't know. But here, in this chapter, we are going to see a life of a farmer who has got a tremendous faith in God that whatever he asks, he will receive. That is the faith that he has got. But what we are going to study in the chapter is that whether that letter is going to reach to the God, and is that God sending the rewards whatever the farmer is demanding. There is a saying, if you have a faith the size of a mustard seed, you can command a mountain and lift up itself and fall in the sea, it will happen. But we must ask a question to ourselves. Do we really have the faith? So in the letter to a God, the farmer, so-called Lencho, he has got a tremendous faith in God. He has much faith in God that surely he is going to receive the rewards that he, whatever is asking the God. Generally what happens here is a farmer, so due to hailstorm, his crops is spoiled, and now he needs to live and he depends on the money and the crops. But now all the crops have gone in vain due to the hailstorm. Now let's see in detail in the lesson what the Lencho is going to write a letter to God and how the God is rewarding him in this chapter. So let's begin into the lesson. So here, the house, the only in the entire valley, sat on the crest of a low hill. From this height, one could see the river and the field of ripened corn dotted with the flowers that always promised a good harvest. The only thing the earth needed was a downpour or at least a shower. Throughout the morning, Lencho, who knew his field intimately, had done nothing else but see the sky towards the northeast. So in this chapter, the Lencho was living in the village, which is entirely a valley, and his house was at the crest of the mountain. The crest means the top of the mountain. So his house was alone on the top of the mountain, which is covered by different fields, and from there he could see his fields and so on and so forth. And now he was expecting a good crop this year. And what he needs is that downpour of rain or at least a shower. And as he was intimated to his field, daily he will go and spend his life in the field waiting for the rain. And one day he was looking at the northeast, because the wind comes from there and the rain also comes from there. So he was expecting a good rain. Now we are really going to get some water. Woman, the woman who was preparing supper replied, yes, God willing. So now as he was expecting, he was telling to a woman, it was probably a woman in the sense, maybe his wife. So he is telling to his wife, now we are going to have a good rain. And the woman supports the husband saying, yes, if the God wills, surely we will have a good rain. The older boys were working in the field while the smaller ones were playing near the house until the woman called to them all, come for dinner. Now, as the woman was preparing the dinner for the family, the older ones, his sons, they were working in the field, whereas his younger sons were playing outside the house, and as she completed, she called them, the dinner is ready. So it was during the meal that just as nature had predicted, big drop of rain began to fall. Now as they were having the dinner, as Lencho predicted that it's going to rain due to looking at the black clouds, then there started falling big drops of rain. In the northeast, a huge mountain of the clouds could be seen approaching. The air was fresh and sweet. The man went out for no other reason than to have the pleasure of feeling the rain on his body. And when he returned, he exclaimed, "There aren't raindrops falling from the sky, they are now coins. The big drops are 10-cent pieces and the little ones are 5." So now here the Lencho, as he was having the dinner, he could see there are black clouds were coming towards. And then he rushed up out, was feeling all the pleasure of having a good rain, and he wanted to have the raindrops falling on his body, and there was a cool breeze, and that's how he was enjoying. And later he went to his house, and then he was telling, they were not the drops of the rains, rather they were the diamond coins which were falling from the sky. And he considered the big drops as the 10-cent pieces, as the little ones as 5 cents. So for him, the rain was so important that he compared the raindrops to the coins. So that's the love for his field and waiting for the rain. So with a satisfied expression, he regarded the field of ripe corn with its flowers dropped in the sudden of rain. But suddenly a strong wind began to blow, and along with the rain, every large hailstone began to fall. Now, he was completely satisfied. He has given a satisfaction expression because what he expected is going to come. But as the rain started pouring and pouring, there started a heavy hailstorm. And the hailstorm was not simply coming for 1 minute or 2 minutes, but continuously it was falling. So these truly did resemble new silver coins. The boys, exposing themselves to the rain, ran out to collect the frozen pearls. Now, as we know, the ice stones, when they are falling, so called in English hailstone. So when they were falling, the children, they were much attached towards the stones, attracted to those stones, that they ran outside the house and collected all those stones and brought inside and enjoyed, because those stones were looking white like a frozen pearls, like white pearls. So it is really getting bad now, exclaimed the man. I hope it passes quickly. So now, as the rain started, the hailstone is becoming bad and bad because it's continuously falling. And then Lencho was expecting it should go quickly. It should go quickly in the sense it should stop. Otherwise, the crop is going to spoil due to the big hailstone. It did not pass quickly. For an hour, the hail rained on the house, the garden, the hillside, the cornfield, on the whole valley. The field was white as if covered with salt. So the hailstone continues falling, and it covered the valley and all the cornfields. And as if it is looking like it is covered, if there is a salt everywhere. Now, as we put the salt outside for dry up and down, it looks white and like a white marble, like a white grass mat. So hail covered everywhere and looking like a salt. Not a leaf remained on the trees. The corn was totally destroyed. The flowers were gone from the plants. Now, due to the hailstorm, on the plants there was no leaf remained, because the hailstones were so big in size, they hit all the leaves, and all the leaves fallen, and also all the flowers fell on the ground. As a result, that the crops completely spoiled. The field was white. So Lencho, the flowers were gone from the plants. Lencho's soul was filled with sadness. When the storm had passed, he stood in the middle of the field and said to his sons, a plague of locusts would have left more than this. The hay has left nothing. So now there was nothing left on the field. Everything was destroyed. Now the Rancho is comparing the hailstorm to the plague of locusts. Locusts in the sense there are flies, the bunch of flies coming together, looks like grasshopper, so which attacks crops and spoils. So he is giving comparison to a hailstorm to the plague of locust. Now there was nothing left for him to harvest. Therefore, his heart and mind filled with sadness. So that night was a sorrowful one. All our work for nothing. There is no one who can help us. We will all go hungry this year. So there was nothing that he could do. And he was expecting that whole night and that whole year they are going to die out of hunger. Because there is nothing left in the field to harvest and have good meals on that particular year. But in the hearts of all who lived in that solitary house in the middle of the valley, there was a single hope, help from God. So, in the heart, everybody, when we lose something from our hands, we have to look at the God. Because when there is nothing possible for the man, everything is possible from God. So therefore, I was looking at the God and hoping that only God could help him. Don't be so upset, even though this seems like a total loss. Remember, no one dies of hunger. So it is said that, everything has a time. Once we lose today, maybe today we are sad, tomorrow there will be happiness. And therefore what is telling is that tomorrow you may grow without food, but the other day you will have the food. Nobody dies out of hunger. That's what they say. No one dies of hunger. Although the night, Lencho thought only if is one hope, the help of God, whose eyes, as he had been instructed, see everything, even what is deep in one's conscience. So now Lencho was looking at the God because only he can receive help from the God. And God knows everything. Whatever in our conscience, whether it is good or bad, God is the only one who can understand our feelings and help us. That's what he was hoping from the God. His faith was such. He has a tremendous faith, incredible faith. His faith is. So Lencho was an ox of a man, working like an animal in the fields, but still he knew how to write. Yes, Lencho is a very hard worker. So Lencho was compared to the ox. As we know in the field, how the ox works so hard. He is a man who works, he is a poor man, but still he knew how to write and read. So he started writing a letter to the God. Lencho was the following Sunday, at daybreak, he began to write a letter which he himself would carry to town and place in the mail. It was nothing less than a letter to God. So then that day he took a paper, pen, started writing a letter to the God. And after writing the letter, he himself went to the post office and he posted the letter in the mail box. So that's nothing else but it's a letter to God. One of the employees who was a postman and also helped at the post office went to his boss laughing heartily and showed him the letter to God. So the postman, as he took the letter from the post box, as he read that letter, he started laughing heartily. Not only that, he carried that letter to the postmaster. The postmaster who saw that letter, he too started laughing so loud. Never in his career as a postman had he known that address. The postman, a fat, amiable fellow, also broke out laughing, but almost immediately he turned serious and tapping the letter on the desk, commented, "What a faith! I wish I had the faith of the man who wrote this letter." Starting up a correspondence with a God. Though the postmaster laughed initially, but as he realized the faith of the man who wrote this letter, he immediately stopped and started saying, I must have the faith the man who wrote this letter. So he was convinced by the letter. Because writing letter to the God, nothing but corresponding with the God. Corresponding means having the conversation with the God, talking to the God directly. So he was taken by the letter, taken by the faith of the man who wrote this letter. Because the postman was feeling guilty, why I don't have that much faith as that farmer who wrote this letter had the faith in God. Therefore, he stopped and the letter he was tapping to the table. So in order not to shake the writer's faith in God, the postmaster came up with an idea. Answer the letter. So postman doesn't want to disappoint the man who wrote the letter, and he doesn't want to shake his faith. That's the reason he wanted to reply, he wanted to answer, he wanted to answer the letter. But when he opened it, it was evident that to answer it, he needed something more than goodwill, ink and paper. So as he opened the letter and started reading, he thought it's not the matter of like a pen or ink or paper. Rather, here's some more thing, some other thing we have to send. That's nothing else but money. But he stuck to his resolution. He asked for money from his employees. He himself gave part of his salary, and several friends of his were obliged to give something for an act of charity. Then he had a good idea. He wanted to pay the money which the man who wrote the letter. So he collected some money from out of his own salary. Not only that, he went to his employees, convinced them and collected some money. And also his friends also supported to help the man who wrote the letter. And it is something not, it is always to give something for an act of charity, as a charity, as we help the poor people. So same way we should also help the man who has got a lot of faith in God. So it was impossible for him to gather together the 100 pesos. So he was able to send the farmer only a little more than half. But for the most part, it was impossible to collect 100 pesos, which he demanded. So pesos in the sense here, it is in Latin America, it is a currency. So he was unable to collect 100 pesos, but he was able to send the farmer more than half. Here more than half, we can consider that around 70 or 75. Most probably 70. Half means 50 and more than half, maybe we can, out of half, 25, maybe 20, we can collect and he wanted to send. So it was impossible for him to collect all the 100 pesos. He put the money and envelope addressed to Lencho, and with it a letter containing only a single word as a signature, God. So he collected those money and also he wrote a letter. And in that letter, only there was one word. That word is nothing else but a signature of God. So if the farmer receives that letter, he will understand, yes, the God replied to him. That is the reason why he wrote only God. He did not mention that we, the post office employees, are sending the money. So the following Sunday, Lencho came a bit earlier than usual to ask if there was a letter for him. It was the postman himself who handed the letter to him, while the postmaster, experiencing the contentment of a man who has performed a good deed, looking on from his office. The next Sunday, the following Sunday, very early before the post office opened, very early the Lencho came and went to the postman and asked, is there any letter for him? The postman himself handed over to the Lencho a letter. But postmaster was sitting in the office. From there, he wanted to see the contentment, the satisfaction, the joy that the Lencho was undergoing. He wanted to see his happiness, and he was observing from his office. Lencho showed not the slightest surprise on seeing the money. Such was his confidence. But he became angry when he counted the money. But to his bad luck of the postmaster, the Lenjo was not at all happy with that. He was not satisfied. Because Lenjo was expecting all the 100 pesos. But when he opened the letter and saw there was only more than half of the money, he was not at all happy. And of course, he was not at all surprised. Lenjo never surprised because he was damn sure the God is going to send all the 100 pesos to him. But he became, God could not have made a mistake, nor could he have denied Lenjo what he had requested. Then the Lenjo started saying, how could the God deny sending the money what a poor farmer asked for? Because God doesn't make a mistake, because He is a God. God never makes a mistake. How does it happen that God made a mistake sending less than what He requested from the God? Immediately, Lenjo went up to the window to ask for paper and ink. On the public writing table, he started to write with much wrinkle of his brow, caused by the effort he had to make to express his idea. Now, immediately he went to the table where the postman was sitting, asked for a pen and paper, and then he went to the public table where he could able to write his letter, and then started writing a letter, keeping his eyebrows like wrinkled bows. So that means seriously, very seriously, he was thinking what to write to the God next, and why the God made mistakes. So that's what maybe he was writing to the God. So when he finished, he went to the window to buy a stamp which he licked and then affixed to the envelope with a blow of his fist. Then, as he went to the postman and asked for a stamp, and he licked on his tongue and put on the envelope, and with his fist he hit it very strong so that the stamp should not come out of the envelope. The moment the letter fell into the mailbox, the postman went to open it. It said, God, of the money that I asked for, only 70 pesos reached me. Send me the rest, since I need it very much, but don't send it to me through the mail, because the post office employees are a bunch of crooks. Lenjo. Then the post as the Lenjo posted the letter in the post mailbox, the postman ran very curiously, wanted to see what he had written, because already he received the first letter and they knew what he demanded from the God. And the next letter, what he might have written to the God. With an eagerness, he ran and opened and started reading. In that letter, the Lenjo wrote like this: God, of money that I asked for, so God, whatever the money I asked, you have sent only 70 pesos. It is reached to me. I have received only 70 pesos. Send me the rest. So send the rest of the money, because I am very in need of that money. I need it very much, because whole year he has to depend on that 100 pesos, because all the crops is spoiled. So therefore he was demanding the rest of the money from the God. And also he was requesting the God not to send through the mail. Okay, so he was asking the God not to send through the mail, because the post office employees are a bunch of crooks. The crooks in the sense, cheaters. Because he was thinking that maybe the first time the God might have sent him all the 100 pesos. Maybe the post office employees, they might have taken the other 30 pesos. That's the reason he was asking the God not to send through the mail, rather send to the Lenjo directly. Now through this lesson, what we can understand is that the faith of the Lenjo, what a faith he has in the God. He never had a doubt that whether the God sends the pesos, the money for him. That's the faith he has got. So we should have such a faith in God. Sometimes it happens, our faith always shakes. We think, with the God, is there any God? If at all there is a God, then why he is not helping us? But Lenjo never thought. There is a God, and surely He is watching us. He knew whatever we are thinking, whatever the conscience that we have got, and surely He will give us whatever we demand. So this is a letter to God. So dear children, so we will meet with the next chapter in the next video. Until then, thank you so much and stay home, stay safe.